Hey everybody, welcome to the Labyrinth of Limitations. I have this is another little labyrinth, and I'd like to share with you some ways of connecting between the melodic scales, like say an F7 scale, and the scales of chords that I might use with it. And you know, like say in a minor 2/5, like in Autumn Leaves, that I talked about in episode 2 a little bit. So that would be the 2 and the 5, and I was using C minor 6 for A half diminished seventh, C minor 6 diminished, and then I was using D sharp or E flat minor 6. I like to think of it like that. Okay, so I want to see the connection between that and F7, because in the minor key I use F, instead of using a D7 scale as a default, I use the dominant seventh that is minor third up from D7, which is F7. And I include F sharp in there because that's the third of D. It sounds like this. It sounds more minory. It sounds more minory. So what I want to learn to do is I want to see, this is C minor 6, the 2 chord, and I want to see every note of this in relation to F7. See, I want to see all of that. My timing was a little off there, but you get the idea. That is seeing F7, an F7 scale in relation to C minor 6. And if you know things from the Barry Harris, things I learned from Barry Harris videos that are so wonderful at showing all the ABCs, you can combine those with contrapuntal playing. So you can move in and out of these things. So the number one thing, so in other words, the enterprise, what we're working on is seeing C minor 6, every single note as part of an F7, because it's the 2, C minor 6, and so this is the second scale degree of F7. I can do 2 half steps if I know my half step rules. Okay, so I could do that. On that, I could go. Whoa, sorry. I'll do this again better. So this is my 2 chord. Out of that into contrapuntal playing. So I'll try that in time, kind of. See, something like that, kind of in time. So I could just go, but what if I wanted to do? I could do that. And also doing this, seeing these connections between the linear and the contrapuntal, the strictly monophonic and the contrapuntal ways of thinking, helps me to get the sounds of the scales in my ear because I'm giving them harmonic context, which helps me a lot. It's helped me a lot, it continues to help me. So my favorite way to get used to this then is to look at each one of these chords, so in relation to the scale. And the way I like to start out with that is actually let's go to just a standard major 2/5 for a second, and let's act like we're at the beginning of the song. So right, and it goes on. So at the beginning of that, then you have a C minor 7, F7, and B flat. And the number one thing I want to memorize is the feeling of the 6 on the 5 on F7. So that is C minor 6 with the F7 scale, because that's going to come in handy if I can get that one first. So I need to see every note of C minor 6 in relation to F7. So I just did some stuff out of that. I could do half step rules through. So just seeing things out of that, and then So now I'm going to see it out of this, and this is scale degree 2, or, and I want to do this with each note of the chord too. So this is the third of F7 in C minor 6. So I can go like, you know, I want to see. You know, not the best line, but you get the idea. See, I'm seeing that going up a chord in F7. Okay, that's what I'm thinking of. Is it? So I'm thinking of going up a chord. So I want to see that with every single voice. So this is a drop 2 and 4, C minor 6, and I'm seeing this is a third. So I'm not in time, but that's the idea, and that is, so that's the 5, that's the 6 on the 5. Now, if I can see that, then when I go to minor things, I can use that for the 2, because C minor 6, now, think about it this way. I'm in G minor, so C minor 6 is now used for the 2, whereas I could have used it for the 5, for one of the options on the 5, when it was on F7 before. Now it's the 2, for sure, on A half diminished 7th. So that is the 2 going to the 5. And so the thing is that in the minor key, of course, Barry likes to suggest, he shows us wonderful things to do using not D7 for the 5, because it's A half diminished 7th D7, but rather F7. And that's what we're doing here. That's what I was talking about. So so now F7, I'm going to play over the 2 and the 5, and C minor 6 is the 6 on the 5 for F7. So I still have that connection. So I can kind of click into it from there. But now when I get to this chord, I need to start to get used to seeing the tritones minor that I'm often going to use on D as part of F7. And it's F7 with the F sharp in there. You see, so that's, so that's F7. So I want to see that connection, but also see what's really handy here is that what is this E flat minor 6, the 6 on the 5 of? Well, it's the 6 on the 5 of the tritone in relation to D. So so I could do lines that are like, so if I can see, if I see, so I have that line that I was doing, and now I'm on, so what I did there was I went, this note right here is, I'm just thinking of the, you know, of the tritone of A flat, dominant 7th. So what I mean to say is, I gave myself more time just to kind of show, this is the 5 chord, D7, not the best line. So here is E flat minor 6, and all I did afterwards was think of A flat 7. So again, I just had to get used to the 6 on the 5 relationship, and now I have the tritone available to me, because that's the relationship there. At the beginning of the 2, I start on E flat major 6, because that is C minor 7, so a little borrowing. This is the 6 on the 5, which, so that was 6 on the 5 for F, and then I'm seeing this as part of an F7 scale, and I was borrowing on this 6-5. So this is a borrowed note on the 6 on the 5 for C minor 6, but also it is the 6th, scale degree 6 of F7. So no half steps is what I did. Okay, so but if I wanted to do the tritone substitution for F7, that would be B7, and that's why I do F sharp minor 6. So So I go like this. So that is F sharp minor 6, and I'm seeing it in relation to notes from B7. And that relationship then stays the same always. So it's always about seeing, with the minor 6 diminished scales, it's about seeing it as part of the 6 on the 5 relationship. In other words, this is F sharp minor 6, which is the 5th of B7. So I connect that in, so I can see this in relation to that scale, to see F sharp minor 6 in relation to B7. So with the other ones, it's a little easier to see the relationship because, like, say, if I were doing so what I did there was I did just the F7 scale, and of course, F7 diminished. I can just see that directly in relationship with the F7 and the F7 diminished. Okay, those are already connected. Same with the dominant 7th flat 5. But that can also, I could play the dominant 7th scale. I could also do the whole tone, you know. So there's other possibilities there. And then the octatonic it has variance in what you can do with it. I'll talk about that another time because this video has gone long enough. And but I hope that this. So what I would advise then is start out with your 6 on the 5s and see them in relation to every dominant 7th scale, and then think about your 2 chord. You know, so E flat major 6. So E flat major 6 in relation to F7. This is the 7th. So I'm seeing that in relation to an F7, and then I did a little tritone sub at the end. So that with every little E flat major 6. And now I went to the tritones minor again, so that in relation to B7. So, you know, that's the connection there. So important. I think it's really important, or it's helped me out a lot. I hope it helps you guys out too. Thank you very much for following along, and I will be following up with some more. I'm working on the PDFs now for my next big episode. So thanks for staying with me in these smaller ones, and keep practicing.